My name is Bob Babbitt, and welcome to Babbittville Classic Rewind, a collection of my favorite interviews with some of the legends of endurance sports that have aired over the past 3 decades. I'm hoping you will enjoy these interviews as much as I do. As always, endurance lives here. Hope everybody had a great training and racing weekend. So, Huddle.
Yes, Bob.
I think we're going to start off, maybe a minor league guest.
Oh, yeah.
Ford Ironman, world champion, Australian Ironman champion.
Yeah.
And
champion,
she's won.
Champion.
I think she's done 3 Ironman races and won them all.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's all right.
That's not bad.
We'll have her on the show, I guess.
Yeah, what the heck. Joining us from a secret training camp in Switzerland.
Nice.
Yeah, because it's only you and I talking here, Huddle. Nobody listening. That way,
nobody listens to this thing.
I know.
Well,
that way
she's
she can talk
spill
to
everything,
us and tell us all this deep stuff because,
right.
Who the heck's going to hear it? Chrissie Wellington. How the heck are you, Chrissie?
Hi, thank you for having me on. I'm great. I'm really great.
Yeah, of course you're great. You're winning everything you do. This is the easiest sport in the world. People are like, oh.
No, only 3 out of 3.
Only
be better.
3 out of 3. Nice. And it's funny, obviously, because we've gone through your history in the past, and in an interview after you surprised everybody on the planet by winning Ironman. The thing that happens is when you win something like Ironman, all of a sudden people notice you. So how's your life changed since winning this Ford Ironman World title last October?
Oh yeah, you know what? It's changed so much in so many different ways. It's been really amazing since last October. A bit of a whirlwind, and it's taken some getting used to. But yeah, it's been fantastic. I definitely can't go to races anymore without people knowing who I am. I can't slip under their radar like I did before. So Australia was very, very different. And I'm a lot busier than I was before. Meeting lots of different people, dealing with sponsors, which is a new thing for me. But no, it's been absolutely fantastic. But yeah, a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you have this success, and you need sponsors in order to continue to have success because you need the support in order to be able to train at the level that you need to. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because now you have a lot more commitment. So the way things must be going now compared to where you were last year at this exact same time, can you just talk about the commitment in terms of hours per week to both training and sponsorship compared to last year? It must be dramatically different.
Yes, it is different, but luckily, I mean, I've got sponsors that don't place too many demands on me. Actually, Tier and I did have Cervelo last year, Oakley and Blue 70. I mean, they're all great, so they don't really demand that much of my time, and I've got a great manager that takes a lot of the pressure off my shoulders and really does allow me to concentrate on my training. But obviously, yeah, there are additional commitments, especially with the media. I'm still doing a lot of interviews, but I really enjoy doing things like that. So I don't see it too much as a chore. It's my responsibility as a pro athlete to do that kind of thing, and I actually do really enjoy it. It gives me a break from the training and lets me take my mind off the pain sometimes. So no, it's enjoyable doing the interviews and the other work that I have to do.
So Babbitt, what she's saying politely is it's really not a chore to be on with you and I, right?
Yeah, it's the deal is I think that
it's okay.
What's cool with Chrissie is when she came into the sport. I mean, she came from a sort of a philanthropic background.
Yeah.
Working with different populations and trying to help people out. And in my mind, I look at Chrissie, and an interview opportunity is a way to let people know that this is a sport that other people can get into, and it's a way to touch people's lives. And it seems like even since you've won, what you've done with folks down in the Philippines, you guys have a training where you're actually bringing in folks who never would have the opportunity to train at a world-class level. And they're training with your team, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I guess I see myself as having two jobs. Like, being the best athlete that I can be is one of my jobs, but the other part is being the role model and the ambassador for the sport that I would want to see. As a kid, I had role models and people in and out of sport that I looked up to, and I think it's important for me now to be that person that other people can look to for encouragement and for inspiration. So I guess that's two of my two roles as it were, and I think that's why it's so important for me to do the interviews, to be approachable and visible to people, so that I can play that second role as well as fulfilling my own dream as an athlete. But what we're doing in the Philippines is absolutely great. There's some really talented athletes there, so we're working both at the grassroots level to identify younger children that perhaps can be developed into professional athletes, but also working with some of the Filipino national team to improve their swim, bike and run, and really put them in a position so that they can challenge on the world stage, which I think they can do.
Chrissie, how often do the athletes from TBB interact with the younger kids of the Philippines? These grassroots programs that you guys have started, which is such a great thing, such a great idea for kids who basically, it sounds like, wouldn't have the ability to do it without the support that you guys are bringing. How often are you guys doing clinics or what have you?
Oh, well, we were in the Philippines from early February until just a couple of weeks ago, actually. And they train. The Filipino athletes actually train with us on a daily basis. We don't do every session with them. We do. They're in the pool usually when we are in the pool, and they're often they often do the same rides as us, and they'll be on the track at the same time that we are. So we're interacting with them on a daily basis, and not only in training. A lot of us act as mentors to some of them, so that we've got that kind of mentoring, guiding role that we play as well out of training to help them understand what it takes to be a professional athlete. So we get a lot of interaction with the individual athletes, and I sponsor one of those, a guy called August, who I think's got tremendous potential. He's their national duathlon champion, and I'm really enjoying, playing a small part in helping him kind of fulfill his dreams.
Now, is he there at your training camp in Switzerland?
No, he's still in Subic Bay.
Gotcha.
In the Philippines. I mean, there's also financial considerations,
sure,
cultural considerations, that need to be taken into account if you're going to move some of these athletes out of the Philippines. And I think for this year, we thought that it's best that he gets those 3 months with us, at the start of the year, and then spends the summer away from us, but continues the program. And my coach is continuing to coach him from a distance, and then we'll be back there prior to Hawaii for our warm weather camp. So then we'll be able to train with him again, and the other Filipino athletes.
Right. Huddle, what I was going to say is, I don't know if there are. I mean, obviously we have a fair number of professional triathletes around, but is there another team at the level of TBB that's basically going, training in the Philippines, training in Thailand, training in Switzerland? I mean, Chrissie, what are you guys doing in Switzerland right now? How many athletes are there, and how involved the training camp is it?
There's about, I think about 15 of us, 18 of us here at the moment. People come and go. They're racing in different places at different times, but the majority of us are here right now, and we'll be here right through to the end of August. Aside from the 4 that are going to the Olympics, and they'll be leaving here at the end of July. But there's a really great group of people here, and I'm enjoying it so much, and it's wonderful to have such a good group of people to train with and to socialize with as well.
Hey, one of the things that's interesting me in following your blog is you talk about having a niggly hammy, a sore, or just a hamstring that you've been having to contend with since Ironman Australia, and it still seems like it's bugging you as of the 19th of May. How is that going, and is that a result? Because I'm guessing with one Ironman Hawaii last year, you didn't have the amount of volume in your legs and in your body that you now have, having done Hawaii and then trained for this coming season and already done an Ironman, a World Cup, and going into Frankfurt now.
Yeah, I mean, last year I had niggles too. It's just people didn't know about them because they didn't know about me.
Right, exactly.
So it's not like this is the first. I didn't even want to call it an injury, but it's not the first niggle I've ever had.
Sure.
Last year I did have different injuries, and we dealt with them. But I think it's just because this is the first one I've had in the public eye that
Right.
That people have become more aware of it. But yeah, I mean, since Australia, my hamstring's been hurting me a little bit, but I'm actually it's actually getting a lot better. Brett's had me running around in neoprene shorts, and then at night I wear cling film, put green clay on it and wrap cling film around my leg. So
just trying to keep that inflammation down.
Yeah, exactly. I hope it's not some kind of kinky fetish thing.
That's pretty cool, though. Yeah, I've seen that stuff in the movies. It's
more
pretty cool.
For compression and
Sure it is.
to reduce the inflammation.
Yeah.
But it's really doing the trick. I'm getting regular massage and feeling a whole lot better. I had a great track session this week that showed me that I'm back to running form, and there's been no pain since then. So hopefully it's on the mend. It's looking good for Germany.
How difficult was it to go from Ironman training and racing and then stepping into a World Cup, in late April, only a few weeks after Ironman Australia? How much of a rude awakening was that?
Oh, incredibly rude.
Those guys go fast. That swim is a little brutal.
I've always wanted to do a World Cup. That was my initial dream. So
Right.
to be able to get a start was fantastic, and I didn't want to give up that opportunity, even though it was only a couple of weeks after Ironman Australia. But yeah, I mean, it's a totally different kettle of fish, and it was a bit of a baptism of fire for me. But I learned so much from doing the race. It wasn't my finest hour in terms of position.
Right.
And I think I definitely was still carrying a bit of, tiredness from the Ironman and the traveling too. But, that said, you have good races and you have bad races. And I learned so much from doing that race, and have much more respect, I think, for the short course athletes, because the speed that some of them, swim, bike, and run is absolutely phenomenal.
It's pretty amazing. And that swim goes out.
Yeah.
That swim is crazy.
It was crazy. It was cold and it was crazy. I don't think I ever recovered from that. But no, it was a good race. But I think it definitely confirmed to me that my talents lie in the longer distance. I think we always enjoy what we're good at, and I seem to be better at the moment at the longer distance. But it takes a totally different skill set, I think, to be good at the short course, and I don't think that it's beyond me to learn those skills, especially on the bike.
Right.
The cornering and the more technical skills that I think that I lack. So I'd never say that I would never go back to do a World Cup and to do it competitively, but for now I think I'm much better off focusing on the longer course.
Babbitt, I think you and I have talked about that with Mark Allen and some of the guys from the days of Dave Scott and Mark,
who did it all.
They were doing it all.
Right.
And Chrissie, do you feel like there is a means to an end to be had by doing short course racing for part of a season and then turning your attention back to the long distance, or do you feel like those days are over, and maybe in the case of you and the current crop of Ironman athletes, that you have to sort of be much more focused on Ironman distance and volume, or would it benefit you at some point in a given season to turn your attention to short stuff and let go of this long training?
I don't think my training at the moment is drastically different from what it was last year when I was training, in inverted commas, as a short course athlete.
Right.
Yeah.
Some athletes, I think, need a larger volume of training, and they're a lot more suited to that. I don't need the volume that other athletes in the squad seem to. So my training isn't drastically different from a lot of the short course athletes. So I think I could probably turn my hand to both. But like I said, I do think you need a different set of skills, and I especially don't have the technical skills on the bike at the moment, I think, to be able to be competitive at that distance. But I think that there are benefits in being able to race long, even if you are a short course athlete. It's fun to mix it up. Belinda Granger shown that. She came second at the recent ITU points race in the Philippines against a tough field, and then went out and did a half Ironman a couple of weeks later. So mixing it up keeps it interesting.
It's interesting
as well. So I don't think just because you're a long course athlete it precludes doing short course.
What's interesting, Chrissie, is I think there's a perception, and maybe it's misperception, that Brett Sutton, who's obviously an amazingly successful coach, that he sort of has this template that I'm just going to pile miles on these people and pile speed and distance, and the best people are going to be able to handle it and are going to go dominate, and other people are just going to not be able to handle it and they'll be gone. But it sounds like that the training is very individualized for each of the athletes he works with.
Yeah, I mean, we love people having that perception because they think that Brett's smashing us absolutely every single day.
Right.
I mean, we train incredibly hard. The training's, very difficult, and he demands a lot from us. But you're right, it's very individualized, and what suits one athlete doesn't suit another. And I think we chatted about this last time.
Yeah.
Last time I spoke to you, and that's what attracted me to Brett. People had this perception of him as a high volume, throw the athletes against the wall, and if one of them smashes, oh dear, we'll pick another one.
Right.
And it's not like that at all. And if anything, I think he reins me in. I have a tendency to do too much and to push myself too far. And he's the one that reins me in and says, no, you're not doing a 3-hour run, you're only doing a 2-hour run. No, you're not doing a 5-hour ride, you're only doing a 3.5-hour ride. Whereas other athletes, Belinda or Hillary or some of the other girls will be doing, that larger volume of training. But that's because that suits.
That works well for them.
So what I do like about Brett is it is all tailored to the individual.
Right.
Chrissie, you're going into Ironman Germany and Frankfurt now, and that, at least certainly on the men's side, and I would guess it's the same on the women's side, has been compared to the other big Ironman, the other Ironman that has close to, and no Ironman has the pressure of Hawaii, but it has probably the next highest level of pressure, simply because it's always been perceived as the German national championship. You have German men and women who want to win that race more than any other, except maybe for Hawaii. How much does that impact your energy and your, what some people refer to as their racing energy for the end of the year? I mean, do you have enough in you, or do you feel like any athlete has enough in them to win both and to confidently be able to go and peak for this race and then go to Hawaii and peak for that race in the same year?
When Brett and I at the start of the season sat down and planned the races, we planned them so I'd be in peak condition for each of the 3 races. So I haven't favoured one over the other. I aim to be the fittest I can possibly be on the start line in each of the 3 races. And that's why they're spread out the way they were. That's why I chose the races, that I did. With regards to Germany, I'm just so excited about doing the race. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. There's some, great competitors on the boys and the women's side. I mean, I hear about the 500,000 spectators that line the course, and that's going to be absolutely fantastic. And to top it all off, my parents are going to come and watch. It'll be the first race they've ever seen me in, so I think that's going to give me an added incentive to do really well.
So it's the first time your parents will have watched you race a triathlon?
Yeah. The
Wow.
first time they watched me, it was in 2005, and I was wearing a borrowed wetsuit, and I got in the water, and I sank because I couldn't lift my arms out of the water, and I had to be rescued by a kayaker. So that was the only time that they...
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. We have to go deeper into that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. You are
First of all, where was that?
Yeah, where is this race that you got rescued?
Well, that was the infamous Redditch Super Sprint in the UK. It was actually in that year our national sprint championships. So I got back from Nepal and borrowed a bike and borrowed a wetsuit, neither of which fitted me very well. And it was a deep water start, and I got in, and I thought, this doesn't feel that good. And, was splashing around a little bit, thinking, it'll be okay once the race starts. And then I started, and the wetsuit flooded, and I literally couldn't lift my arms out of the water.
I love that.
And nearly sank. So, I did get towed to the side by
the kayaker.
That has got to be one of the best pieces of news for a lot of age groups and first-time triathletes out there to know that Chrissie Wellington,
Ironman
champion, got rescued from a triathlon. And that was not your first triathlon, I take it.
No, it wasn't. Actually, that was only about 2 years ago. It was 2006, I think.
2006.
That is
2 years ago.
That is classic.
2 years ago.
That is
awesome.
And
my parents have never come and watched me
I
race again.
can't blame them. They're like, I'm counting the heads, and I don't see my daughter. And is that her hanging on that kayak? She told me she was really good at this sport.
So Chrissie,
Nice.
do the folks in Frankfurt know this? Do we have extra lifeguards standing by for you? I mean,
I hope so. Maybe they'll make me wear a different colour swimming hat so they can rescue me when I start.
We'll get you a swim buddy. We have swim buddies out here for people who are a little scared in the water. So we'll get you a swim buddy.
Get you a swim buddy.
Water wings. Maybe I should have some water wings. No, my swimming's come on a little bit since then.
That is hilarious. That is a good story.
That is a very good story.
I like that one a lot. Well, it's interesting, Chrissie. We've had Chris McCormick on here a number of times, and one of the things that he realized to win the Ironman, and this actually came from Mark Allen. Mark said, Chris, you can't be fit all year long. You can't be fit in Australia for Australian Ironman, be fit for Germany, and still be fit and peak again for Kona. So Chris would win Australia, and then he would basically not do structured workouts through Germany, through the road race, and win that, a little bit overweight, and then he'd get fit again for Kona. But Brett feels that you can peak 3 different times during the same season.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is that? Do you think that's a gender specific thing? Do you feel like that's
women are tougher?
When you
they
look
can
at
handle it.
when you look historically, there
Paula could do it all year.
or Aaron. There's a lot of women who did that. No problem. They were winning every single time, and they seemed like they were on top of it every single time.
Yeah, that's true. I think women are just tougher. Is that what you'd say, Chrissie?
I definitely think we're the tougher sex. Yeah, for sure. No, I don't know if it's a gender specific thing. I think he just looks at me and sees what my limits are, and others in the squad are racing a lot more than me and are doing Hawaii. So, and I think that they expect to be at their best at each of those races too. But no, I think that we thought together that 3 was a good number of Ironman for me to be competitive at in one year. I'll also do other races. I think I'm going to do Alpe d'Huez as well, which is almost the equivalent of an Ironman.
When is that race?
Not in distance, in difficulty.
When is that race?
That's right at the end of July.
Oh, so right after the tour.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Very nice. And then what about races between that time and Hawaii, or will that be focused on training for Hawaii?
No, I think we're looking for a couple of perhaps two 70.3s, maybe one 70.3 in the US, if we can find one,
Right.
around the end of August. But we haven't really decided too much yet. I think we just look to Germany and then make a plan.
Do you
after that.
do you do other training aside from swim, biking, and running? Are you in the gym? Are you doing any yoga? Are you doing any sort of core strength stuff? Any other?
Mud wrestling.
Yeah, mud
karate.
wrestling.
I
Yeah.
do it all.
Yeah.
Ballet,
Cage match.
Really?
trampolining.
Nice.
You should see me on the high wire.
I would
Nice.
dig it. Trapeze. Love
No,
that.
I
Little
don't.
Cirque du Soleil.
I do some strength stuff. I do some push-ups and step-ups, but nothing too much.
So-
Babbitt, you
so
know
Huddle.
where this is leading.
Huddle's going to
So
ask you
Chrissie,
this.
Chrissie, I have a question for you.
He asks every guest.
Well,
Just to
this
give
is
it-
important because it allows us to
important.
compare
It is.
athletes across a broad spectrum of sport.
You want to see where she ranks with Titan?
Right.
The
How,
guy- yeah.
Chrissie, the question is, how much can you bench?
Does she
I've
bench?
never.
She'll never bench.
Come on, you're a
I've never
competitive
tried.
athlete. You've been in a gym. I know you've gotten there with your buddies and gone, how much can you do? I can do more than that. How much can you bench? Be honest. It's okay.
When you were in Nepal,
No one's listening.
When you were in Nepal, how many of those Sherpas could you lift?
Yeah. How much do you think you could bench?
She doesn't know, Huddle.
Yeah, come
I
on.
reckon I could carry one under each arm.
Okay. One
Probably the equivalent of two Sherpas, whatever
See,
that is.
told you. She can do two Sherpas. Okay,
No,
Titan.
I've never actually
Yeah.
been in the gym and bench press.
Okay, well here, how many
The boss doesn't
when you
like it,
when you
so.
do yeah,
How
but
about,
you
yeah,
do
we do
you do
push-ups.
push-ups.
Yes,
and
yes.
do you do boy style push-ups or do you do the girl ones where you're sort of from your knees, or are you on your toes and in plank position and doing a full
A
push-up?
real push-up.
I'm all boy.
She's all
but
okay.
I do them on my knuckles
And how many of those can you do, sister?
without collapsing.
Yeah.
I do 10. I do sets of 10.
All right, now here's a really good question. How much do you weigh when doing these 10 push-ups?
Oh, that's a good point, Huddle.
Yeah, see?
so you
See?
can push up how much
See?
she's pushing up. Okay,
Yeah.
bench pressing. I get
Yeah,
it. Okay.
How much?
How much do I weigh on the scales?
Yeah.
Yeah. In
About
pounds.
60 kg.
I knew she was going to say kgs. That
Of
kills
course.
me.
I don't know. What
It's
do you
2.2, I
use?
think, isn't it?
Ounces and
So
pounds
she's about
and
126 pounds.
Yeah, 126-ish. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So she's
yeah,
pushing
you do the
130.
That's good. That's
She's bench
good.
pressing
Okay, so
130 on her
she could
knuckles.
probably easily bench 100 pounds.
You're
That's
benching-
pretty darn good.
that's
I'd say.
great.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh,
How
absolutely.
do I rate against everyone else?
Well,
that you've had
Titan,
on?
the
Can I
guy
be
who's
massive?
on, there's a guy on American Gladiators. He benches 600 pounds, so you're a little shy of that. But
He could take 40 Sherpas
but
under each arm.
you're wiry, so
Yeah,
that,
you
that
could
counts
probably,
for something.
and he couldn't catch you.
But can he? He might not be able to swim, bike, and run though.
Nah, I doubt it.
But
yeah.
you can't swim either, so that's a problem.
No,
already
You
told
got,
us
you
that.
already got rescued.
You already got rescued. you were rescued by a kayak during a triathlon, not just out training, but during a race when your parents were there to watch, thinking you're going to win the race, and you're sitting in the kayak on the side of the trail. I love that. That is awesome.
That's classic.
So Chrissie, I mean, I look at your basically first pro. It's not your first pro year. First pro year is sort of in the Ironman world.
First pro year in the public eye.
Yeah. Uh-oh, did we lose you? Oh,
Chrissie,
we just got upset
Come
the
back.
dial tone. We've got to call her back.
we'll call her back then, Babbitt. You know why? Because we've got Jack, the man.
Jack, the man. Let me give you a phone number, Jack.
Here you go, Jack. We can do this.
We
And
have to
Babbitt, in the
disconnect this?
meantime, we can keep talking.
Huddle.
I guess we can't.
Yeah, we can.
We can?
Sure, we're still
All right.
on. He's just waiting for a little phone number for us while we're doing this. I love the fact she got rescued. That's pretty cool.
That's amazing. That has got to
Um,
make a lot of age group athletes very happy to know that an Ironman
011.
World Champion. Oh, look at now!
Oh,
You're
yeah,
going
yeah.
to try and show Jack your chicken scratch,
He
and
can do it.
because
He can do
is
that.
the king,
Jack is the king. Jack can handle
he
this.
can decipher Babbitt's handwriting.
Love that. See? Got that?
All right, so
We
we're
think.
calling her back. Don't worry, Jack's on the job. So
You know,
Babbitt, what do you think about all the racing?
what I was
mean,
just
all the
about to
Ironman
say,
racing and
I was about
training.
to say she did 3 Ironman in 8 months.
Yeah,
And won them all.
yeah.
That's a lot of Ironman racing.
It
And
is.
then she's doing, then the third one was Australia, and she's going to do 2 more. So she's basically
Well,
going
and
to
like
do 5.
I said, Frankfurt is not. It's not Australia.
We going here? Do we have Chrissie back?
Hi, sorry, I don't know what happened there.
All of a sudden, we're like talking.
We're like, I know. I'm like, Babbitt. I told Babbitt you offended her.
I did.
It's like she hung up.
I said she couldn't swim. I hurt her feelings. No, so Chrissie, what we was about to say, your first basically full year as a Ironman athlete, you do 3 Ironman races in a year. Actually, in less than a year, in 8 months, and you win all 3 of them. And now you're doing another 2. And besides those, so you can have 5 Ironmans in the first year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Do you see this as, okay, I'm going to be doing this sport for 5 years, and I think I can handle 3 Ironmans a year, or is it, hey, I'm just going to take this year by year, see how I feel, and maybe I'll adapt and go back to 2 Ironmans rather than 3?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I'll take it year by year.
Okay.
And see how I recover. It's still very much a learning process for me, a learning process for Brett.
Yeah.
And for my manager and my sponsors. So we've just got to see how it goes. And I think as long as I'm able to train and to perform, and that I'm most of all enjoying it, then I'll carry on. But yeah, no. Obviously, I expect my body to change and my recovery ability, my ability to recover to differ as I get older. But I don't want to make too many plans. But I definitely intend to be around for a little while yet.
Chrissie, you strike me as somebody who is got a really well, you're obviously very smart, very well spoken. You've had a big background, a big educational background. You've been involved in other things other than triathlon, which is great. It's great, but it's also very different to what a lot of our top professional men and women are when they're at the top of the sport. They've had to be basically professionals
for
the whole way
years.
along,
right,
and
yep.
not have as varied a background. So I just wonder how long Ironman and Ironman training can hold your interest. I mean, I see you as somebody who is like, all right, I've won enough of these. Now I'm going to go like Seb Coe and be in Parliament, and then I'm going to be the Prime Minister. I'll be the next Iron Lady. I mean, you know what I mean? You just sounds
right.
like, I mean, I see you as
if someone is going to go,
wrong?
Oh my God, I'm going to go do another 100-mile
exactly.
bike ride.
It's like you're going to get to the 10th Ironman and go, that's enough. All right, now I'm going to go to Parliament and make some big changes in the world.
I'm going to go cycle touring or something.
Yeah,
Tour de France. Yeah.
No, I mean, I haven't followed a stereotypical path, but
really,
I mean, in many ways, I've been training for Ironman all my life, just not in triathlon.
That's absolutely
the different things that I've been doing, and I'm happy that I only started the sport late. I think that it gives me perspective and maybe a freshness that I wouldn't have had if I'd have started it earlier. I think looking at it as having 2 jobs helps keeps it interesting for me, and I really do see the wider benefits aside from just the winning, or placing well in races and the money, but also the opportunities that I do have to inspire and encourage and mentor other people, and that really does help drive me. And I mustn't lose that bigger picture and the bigger opportunity that I do have. So I think even if I get tired of racing, I'll still be in the sport and focusing very much on the kind of latter aspect of it all. But no, I really can't see in the next few years me getting bored of doing this. I'm loving it as more and more as each week goes by, and each race I do, I'm making more friends and learning more about the sport, and I'm really enjoying that. And coupled with the fact I get to travel, I get to meet people, it's really fantastic, and it's opening doors to me that I never really thought would ever exist. So I'm just trying to seize every opportunity and see it all as an opportunity.
You know what's interesting, Huddle, is I see, Chrissie, you did have such a varied background where you were up in Nepal and you were working at a camp here in the States, wearing your beaver shirt. So you had such a very. I'm assuming that you've probably gotten some pretty funny calls and emails from. Is this the same Chrissie Wellington who was up in Nepal with me?
Actually.
Is this the same gal who was
One
like
of my friends from Beaver.
some of your friends from Beaver? Yeah.
One of my friends from Beaver contacted me. A guy from Canada that I met when I was in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Indonesia contacted me. People from school.
Yeah.
And and then I get a lot of people within the sport, emailing me and sending me messages, and I try and respond to everyone if I can, because I always feel really touched when people take the time to email me, a kind of personal message. But no, I have been contacted from a lot of people. They've all come out of the woodwork.
I thought that'd be like, I can imagine somebody going, well, I knew a girl when I was at Beaver Camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Beaver, I remember her.
I remember her. I can't believe that.
She couldn't swim then.
She couldn't swim at all. And she won the Ironman. How about the guy in the kayak? The guy in the kayak's going, wait, there was a girl. She had Wellington across her ass. I remember that. We pulled her out of the water. Wait, she just won the Ironman?
Yeah, the lifeguard.
Lifeguard's going, what?
There's no way that girl
There's no
won.
way.
Not without a wetsuit.
No.
We're going to put her out there as a buoy. She was totally filled up with water and air. We thought for sure we're going to put her out there. That is wild.
So Chrissie, are you finding at times the amount of training and then the amount of email, when you get so tired as an athlete from, a big block of training, it must be difficult sometimes to then flip on the computer and have 100 email messages, everybody wanting a response, or are you pretty good with that and it's not that big a deal?
No, it's not that big a deal. I mean, it's not unmanageable, and like I said, my manager does take a lot of the pressure off in terms of sorting out the kind of contractual aspects, the financial aspects of my life. So that's good, because I was never very good at that anyway. So I leave that all to him. And no, it's not a hassle and it's not a chore. And if I saw it as that, I think it would all get on top of me. So I don't, and I see it as like I said, it's an opportunity. And
so everybody who's listening right now, Bob, should go ahead and send Chrissie an email.
Yeah, we'll give her address out as soon as the show's over. We'll put that out on the website. Shouldn't be a problem. So Chrissie, after basically having a phenomenal race, first time out in Kona, and not really knowing the course, you really hadn't spent any time there. You'd ridden on the bike course a little bit, but how fast do you think you could go there? Do you have any idea, or do you even think about that?
I don't really set myself those kind of time goals. I think I can go faster than I did last year.
Right.
In all of the three disciplines, but particularly the swim. So yeah.
Can you break the course record? Come on.
This year I'd go faster, but you can't control certain things, what other people do, and the conditions and the heat. So I just want to race the best possible race that I can, and that doesn't mean trying to break any time records. It just means going out there and giving it absolutely everything I've got. But yeah, no, it'd be absolutely great if I could smash a few records. But no, that's not the objective.
That's not the objective, but if it happens, it's not a bad thing.
If it happens, it would be good.
There you go.
So Chrissie, when it seems like when you go into a race, and granted we've only seen you race a few times so far, but it seems like when you go into a race, you're going in with your own plan and sticking to that. In Australia, Kate Major goes by, you simply go, that's too fast for me, and then 160K later, you're going by her. Is that going to change in Hawaii? I mean, like you said, now you're a marked person, and you know who the other players are, and they know who you are. Are you going to be worrying about where other people are at different points in the race, or are you simply approaching it like you've approached it so far, and that is to give your best shot on the day in each discipline?
Yeah, it's going to be that. I mean, I'm going to be conscious of more people, because like you said, I know who people are, and I know their strengths and their weaknesses a hell of a lot more than I did last year. But ultimately, I need to go at the pace that I feel I am comfortable racing and that I can sustain for the long haul, and I know what that feels like. And if I feel that someone is going too fast, then I would have to let them go and stay calm and have confidence in the fact that I often feel stronger in the latter half of the bike, and then once I get onto the run. So I think it's all about confidence in your own ability, and trying to keep focused on your own race plan and not be too distracted by what everyone else is doing. But of course I will be aware of more of the others this year, and definitely respectful of who they are and what they can do.
And you'll know, hell, that curly-haired girl, that's Kate Major, and that other girl in the pink, I think that's McKeely Jones. You'll know some of their names and stuff.
I might know a few of their names, but there can be some that come out of the woodwork, I did
like you,
last year. So it's not, I'm not going to discount anyone, and I think there can be definitely be a few more surprises this year. So it's not only the big names that we all have to watch out for. I think I need to.
No, there's a lot of good folks.
Be respectful of all the girls that are on the start line, hey? Because any one of them could pull a good race out the bag.
Chrissie, one of the things that we talked with Chris McCormick about in his last interview, and that we've talked about every year when we cover that race, is how hard it is to defend in Hawaii. And if you look at it historically, there are not very many athletes who have been able to defend. I think the last was Tim DeBoom on the men's side.
And Natasha.
You'll have some inkling of the obligations race week when you go to Frankfurt. I'm sure you'll have some press related obligations, etc. But it seems like for a defending champion in Kona, and I think Norman was a classic example of this when he defended the first time, of how much different it is going to that race, having won it the year before, than it was coming in as somewhat of an unknown. How do you feel, that's going to go? Have you been thinking about that? Have you and Brett talked about that? Is that something that you intend to, consciously address in how you approach the race this year and the week before the event?
I mean, it's something that I definitely am factoring in. Australia gave me a taster, and like you said, I think Germany definitely will too. But they're not going to be on the scale that Hawaii is, and I've got to expect that, and like you said, and factor it in. But this is all part of me being a proper professional triathlete. Is dealing with this, and it's whether I can deal with it that will be the make or break. But we just need to have a clear plan, a clear agenda, and that's the way I like to operate. I just need to have everything organised, and if it's organised, I know where I've got to be, and when I've got to be there. Then I don't find it too difficult to cope with, and hopefully I can then go and hide away and do my training. But I appreciate that I'm going to have obligations, and I'm going to enjoy doing those various different commitments. And meeting all the people that I want to meet and speaking to the people I want to speak to. But hopefully, people will also be respectful of the fact that I need my own time and I need my rest.
Sure.
And I think that they will. But I need to make sure that I have a plan to deal with that, and I'll have a good team around me to make sure that it all goes smoothly, and I know where I've got to be and when.
Chrissie, everything has happened so fast. You go to Korea and you win there. You go to Kona, win there. Go to Australia, win there. Did any of this surprise you? I mean, obviously you're a very confident woman, someone who's sort of blazed her own path through life and gone and done the things that you felt were the right thing to do, and you come into this sport and start dominating. Is this surprised you, and and how did it surprise you?
It blew me away. Someone asked me in an interview the other day, what did you think when you were running down the Leahy Drive? And, what was going through my mind is, how on earth have I done this? What on earth have I done? And, I could not believe what I'd achieved. And it continues to surprise me, because I always think, I'm good, but I'm not that good. There's so many people that are better than me. And,
obviously not.
Evidently not. Yeah.
It might be. Well, we'll see. But it continues. It continues to surprise me, and I still have to pinch myself to believe that it has happened, and that it is happening. But like anyone, I have good days and bad days, and there'll come a time where I'll have bad races, and I've got to learn to deal with them. I'm not superhuman, and I'm gonna fail, and I'm gonna succeed. And I hope that I can learn from both both of those. But the successes do surprise me, and I really cannot believe what has happened in the past year.
Did your coach, did Brett Sutton believe in you before you believed in you?
I don't want to put words into his mouth, but yes, I mean, from what he's said when he first saw me, he knew that I had potential, I guess, without wanting to sound arrogant. And from what other people have said that he said, there was definitely something in me that he saw, but I know that he was concerned that although perhaps I had the physical ability, that I wasn't mentally strong enough to succeed. And I think we did a lot of work last year to make me more structured in my thought, to make me more confident, to give me self-belief, and to make me focus on the task at hand, rather than trying to do 1,000,001 things at once like I used to do. And that was more important, I think, than any of the physical training that we did, was the mental training. So I think Brett definitely had belief in my physical ability, but I think he had concerns about whether I was mentally fit for the job.
In Hawaii last year, when we watched you go through that race, when you appeared on the bike and then all the way through the run, you didn't strike me as sort of, when you talk about the mental side, you didn't strike me as a Mark Allen in the seriousness and the focusedness of it. Obviously, you had to be to do what you did, but you just seem so happy, breezy, go lucky, like it was the easiest thing in the world. How difficult was it throughout that day? And was there that mental focus that you're talking about right now? How much of that came into that race? Because, man, it just looks so easy.
It's never easy. And although I might have given off the impression with my smile that it was easy, it most certainly wasn't. But I was comfortable for much of the race, and that allowed me, I guess, the opportunity to be able to smile a little bit more. But I think going into the race, the mental strength was something that I drew heavily on, and that I give a lot of credit to Brett for getting me to the race in the strongest possible mental state that I could be. And he was the one that said, don't defer to anyone, and go in and race your own race, and didn't put any pressure on me. And I'm very grateful to him, for that and for giving me that kind of perspective and attitude. And I think that I carried that through into the race. Although it was tremendously important to me, I don't think I put that weight of pressure on my shoulders that I otherwise might have done. But in terms of focus during the race, I was incredibly focused. I might have been outwardly happy, but inside, it's very calculating and very structured, and very focused. But I did allow myself to enjoy it
as
in the
well.
last stages
As well you did. Hey, Chrissie, we want to thank you for taking so much time and chatting with Huddle and I. Enjoy your camp in Switzerland. And how much longer will you be in Switzerland?
Until I'm in Germany.
Until Germany, wow.
Yeah, so I'll be here another 4 weeks, and then go to Germany and race my socks off there.
Love it. Hey, thanks again for taking.
Thank you very much.
Chrissie, love chatting with you. Keep doing what you're doing, and give our best to Brett and the rest of your team.
Thank you so much, and good luck to everyone out there in their forthcoming races. And I'll see everyone in Germany and in Hawaii.
All right. Chrissie Wellington, 2007
Thanks,
Ford Ironman World Champion.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of Babbittville Classic Rewind. And don't forget to check out our huge library of interviews with the most decorated triathletes in history on Breakfast with Bob.
Ask me what I want to be, and I will say I will be